Hello, everybody. I'm Elana Meta, and this is another Wild Wednesday where I'm bringing to you conversations around intimacy, the word fuck, and living in a body you trust. This week, I am talking about sensuality and sexuality. You can say sensuality versus sexuality or sensuality, not sexuality, but the main focus is the distinction between the two because a lot of people tend to collapse a lot of different words and energies all in a sexual context, which actually leaves out the ability to connect in deeper ways, which is the deeper codes of what sensuality is, and also working with the sexual channel. Now, attraction can be so many different things. I could be attracted to something because of the beauty. I could be attracted to something because there's something karmically connected for me to have a relationship with it. I could be attracted to something based on a past traumatic experience, and I'm attracting it because I've created the story that all men are assholes, so therefore I'm attracted to assholes. It can be whatever. It can be, light and dark. Attraction is attraction based on a lot of the stories and narratives that we are telling ourselves. And sexuality is something that I believe people go to quickly where there's not a lot of expression and space for people to feel safe because it is leaping over the real codes and understanding around the attraction and what the energy actually is that is currently taking place within the relationship. Like, who here has been attracted to someone, had sex with them, and been like, oh, if I didn't have sex with them, that was actually going to be my business partner, or we could have made some dope art, but instead we allowed it to become sexual. So this is where I want to drop into the conversation around sensuality. So sensuality actually means the enhancement of the senses. What we see, what we smell, what we taste, what we hear, and what we feel. The five senses. And of course, there's more than five senses, but let's just stick with the five that they tell us because, God forbid we have that sixth sense, that energetic, intuitive one. But so sensuality, dropping into deeper experiences around our ability to use these tools that we have, which are tools of the advancement of our brain. Like, we are the only species on the planet that have the brain, the intellect that we do, that advances our senses. And every single species has a different sensory capacity. For example, like a hawk has a certain sense with its eyes. It can see a distance of 2 miles beyond it because of its brain, not just because of its eyes. It has an eagle brain. And for us, we have human brains, and we put so much emphasis on this brain that also absorbs a lot of our senses. And at the same time, just a side note I want to think about is there are sensory creatures that feel things, but they don't even have a brain, that have been on this earth for billions of years. So talk about the senses and the development of the senses, and the development of the senses even before sexuality is a part of the conversation. So I believe a lot of people are craving to develop the senses, to be able to listen in deeper ways, to be able to feel things in a deeper depth, to be in the body, because that is also where so many of this is where the senses live. Yeah, they get registered in the brain as memories, but it's also in our bodies. So the invitation to explore the senses, and from that there's a deeper dialogue of intimacy for oneself, for your own personal connection to be intimate here, because the intimacy here becomes intimacy out there, because this individual conversation happens, and then from that the universal conversation happens. So what I have to say is the universal conversation starts on the individual level. And by us cultivating that enhancement of the senses, we allow ourselves to have more awareness around our space, around the environments that we're in, and also in relationship and connection with others. And that's where deeper layers of vulnerability get to come into place, because we get to see ourselves with more awareness, and then where compassion comes in, where empathy comes in, where the emotional intelligence comes in, where just so many pieces of what it means to be in connection. And, doing this work, I'm intimacy, sex, and empowerment coach. And at the end of the day, it's like beyond practices and these tantric techniques, at the epicenter of what I feel people really want is to be like cuddled, to be held, to know that they're seen, to know that they're felt, and creating that safety for one another simply by sensing, by tuning in, by feeling, and by leaning into the space and being in connection with it. So sensuality also to me means to be in connection with oneself and with whatever we're in relationship with. And I invite you to start being in relationship with things beyond just human beings, to also be in relationship with spaces, to also be in relationship to nature and to trees, because you'd be so surprised that the intelligence of the other species that are living here, that have been here for thousands or millions or billions of years, that have been inhabiting here, actually have an intelligence. It might not be registered in the brain because they may not have a brain, but they have senses. And in that, there is a conversation, there is a dialogue to be explored. I mean, speech, that is relatively new when it comes to life on Earth. Like, just think about that. Yet we give so much value to words and the things that we speak in our minds and our brains when, like, this is like the newest part of our evolution. So to be in connection and cultivate a relationship with trees and nature and actually form a dialogue, ask like, can I touch you? Can I be here? Am I invited? Or even asking more deep philosophical type of questions to nature. It actually has messages for us. I know it might sound a little crazy and a little woo-woo, but I fucking dare you to try it, because the way that we can pick up senses, the way that if I choose to tune into the energy and to be in connection with another person, a place, or a thing. By the way, I think it's a little odd that we call like trees and rocks and other living things, don't you? Like, no wonder we're so desensitized to our senses when we literally numbed ourselves out from sensing all other life around us. So with that, my invitation to you is to tune into your own senses and to be in relationship and connection to other things around you, even your food. Ask your food, do you want to be in my body? What is that? Because you might get just a very clear no. And do you have the courage to actually listen to that voice, to listen to the senses, to listen to that thing that nobody can hear or validate besides you, besides your instincts, your intuition, your checking and tuning in with your body, this incredible vessel, this technique, this tool. We literally are a technology, so we get to use it as such. We are hardware and software. And in that, then there's the internet, right? And it's like the mind, body, and spirit, the spirit being the internet. It's all connected. So just seeing ourselves in that way, if that helps getting it out of a spiritual context, we're hardware and software, and we're the internet. And just see all the different codes and information that we're holding for one another in all of these unique ways, based on the codes that we've cultivated over our lifespan. And maybe some of us have viruses, maybe of us have some cleaning to do. We have a lot of stuff on our desktop, so we're running slower, whatever it is. But give yourself the permission to clean up, to tune up, to drop in, and get present in your body and in the senses, so you can drop into deeper layers of your sensuality. So if you do desire to be in attraction with someone and to have sex with them, and it turns from sensuality to sexuality, please make sure that you're actually there and present, and you get to be in the experience filled with pleasure, filled with connection, filled with you knowing exactly what you desire and therefore getting it, rather than disassociating, desensitizing, and numbing yourself to actually not be present for the human connection, for the senses, the sensuality that is here for us. So that is what I have to say for this video, and please keep checking in every week on these Wild Wednesdays where I am bringing you these conversations around this book that I'm so excited to share with you at the end of, or I say towards the end of 2019. So yeah, all my love. Thank you for tuning in.